were always on the truck. So much for confidence.
Everything ended well. Perfect weather brought huge crowds to Humboldt Park. The Milwaukee Journal reported 6,000 people on Thursday and 8,000 on Friday. The paper continued.
The applause stunned the pupils. One young woman sobbed from emotion. Lord, there's an awful lot of people out there, and they're all clapping.
This was the first of 5 encore performances enjoyed by SM Musicals.
Recent shows have been double cast only in lead roles, but for The Sound of Music, 18 roles were doubled, including the 7 children. This turned out to be especially important because for the first time, we needed a backup. Gretel, the captain's youngest child, refused to go on stage for the youth night performance. Not even her favorite teacher, who came backstage from the audience, could convince her. Fortunately, Gretel from the first weekend was home, and her mother got her dressed and on stage in time. She performed with no rehearsal and a completely different cast. Pretty good for a 6-year-old.
In all, there were about 50 costume changes for Maria and the 7 children. Most of the costume changes were done in the backstage area to save time between scenes. Someone was overheard saying, "We ought to sell tickets for the backstage show." Auditions for the children's roles brought out many more than expected, and so the process was quite slow. In addition to the numbers, inadvertently, auditions had been scheduled on the Orthodox Christmas weekend. There were many unhappy parents that afternoon, but the children got even. One of them infected the cast and orchestra with, not quite appropriately, German measles, so that 10 days to 2 weeks after the performance, participants had to take an unscheduled vacation.
No friends backstage had always been a firm rule. One evening performance was disturbed by the arrival of 6 or 7 motorcycle riders at the back door. They were prevented from entering by a visiting boyfriend who shouldn't have been backstage either. A struggle followed with the mother abbess, who went to her boyfriend's aid, was hit in the nose with an elbow. With her nostrils stuffed with Kleenex to stop the blood flow, she made her entrance to sing "Climb Every Mountain," wiping away the tears. Don, conducting the pit, couldn't understand why she didn't sound quite right.
Slice of Broadway, pictured in Guys and Dolls, demonstrates the conflict of the shady underworld and the soul-saving mission. From the crap shooters in the sewer, to the strippers in the nightclub, to the soul savers in the mission, it presents a challenging set of fun characters.
This year, a student writer for the Harbinger, the school newspaper, auditioned undercover to gather information to try to prove that the show was pre-cast and the auditions were only a facade. After he landed a role, he sheepishly confessed all. He ruined his expose, but enjoyed the experience tremendously.
The orchestra, during the first combined rehearsal, found a brawl in Havana more exciting than the musical score, and one by one dropped out, so the music became thinner and thinner. Finally, Don stopped the action, sent the orchestra members to the tables in the common, and played the scene again with only the rehearsal piano. With curiosity satisfied, the orchestra members returned to the pit, and the action continued.
Takes a good steady job, and he smells from Vitals and Barbasol. Call it dumb, call it clever, how would you give us forever? That the guy's only doing it for some love, the guy's only doing it for some
Take back your mink, take back your pearl. What made you think that I was one of those girls?
One violinist, who remembered getting hit with a piece of a breakaway bottle each night, also recalled the following incident.
During the Saturday performance, someone managed to get hold of Don's score and tape a Playboy centerfold between the pages of Take Back Your Mink, so that Don Stinkey, at a crucial turn of the page, instead of music, was confronted with something more interesting. Don laughed, but one wonders if in today's world he would be obligated to overreact in some politically correct way.
During curtain calls for the final performance, the gangsters brought down the house by carrying violin cases borrowed from orchestra members as they took their final bows.
Take back your mink, take back your pearl. What made you think that I was one of those girls? I'm screaming, take back the gown, take back the hat. I may be down, but I'm not glad at all that. I thought that each expensive gift you're wearing was a token of your esteem. So when I think of what you want to say, it all seems unbelievable. Take back your ring, so call Royal Health and tell them to shorten the sleeves for somebody else.
A troop of strolling players are we, experienced portrayers are we. We're just a simple band who roams about
The
the
pit
land.
presented numerous challenges, from sets to costumes to orchestrations. The drab gray curtain was transformed by hanging huge satin banners suggesting Venice, Padua, and other Italian cities where the roving company played. They were being sewed one weekend while participants listened to South Milwaukee playing in the basketball regionals. Unfortunately, SM lost and did not move on to Madison. But a huge musical sigh of relief was heard all over South Milwaukee.
Up to now, the male cast members had worn rather conventional costumes, but now the men were troubled from head to foot. Kiss Me Kate introduced them to tights, and most men suffered from the frustration of trying to keep the tights pulled up and not bagging at the ankles. Hats were another challenge because some had bigger feathers than others. The male of the species relished a chance to flaunt his plumage.
The audience surprise in Kiss Me Kate was Jackie, a donkey who was led on stage at the end of the wedding scene to provide a conveyance for Kate. Jackie minded his manners, but had a distinctive donkey smell, which was one unwelcome in the close confines of the stage.
One cardinal rule of the SM stage was to know your character and maintain it through all distractions. Kate really got into character during I Hate Men, so that when she slapped Petruchio's face, she sent him reeling and his earring flying across the stage. No one could blame him for getting even in the spanking scene.
The second encore performance, number 5, brought very different weather conditions. The temperature dropped 30 degrees at about 5 that afternoon. The Milwaukee Journal reported that the singers and dancers seemed to ignore the chill, and the musicians bore up well under the cool breeze that fanned them. About 2,500 people sat on the amphitheater benches for 2½ hours, many wrapped in blankets and sipping hot drinks from thermos bottles. About the only warmth came from the audience reaction.
Petruchio's valet, Paul, recalls seeing his breath as he sang Too Darn Hot, while the audience roared with laughter. Jackie decided to balk, as donkeys will, and refused to walk up the wooden ramp to the stage. Petruchio, without missing a beat, tossed Kate over his shoulder, fireman's carry, and walked down the ramp as the spotlight followed. Great bit of improvisation for all.
Other distractions were the swallows, which nested in the middle of the second arch, and the airplanes, which chose the north approach to the airport. Despite all this, it was a memorable evening for all involved.
Annie Get Your Gun was the first of 7 repeat shows. While there were many shows that had not been presented at SM, there were some that just seemed to suit the students who were available and interested. Auditions were held and a cast chosen using old script and piano score. We were not aware that the revised version had eliminated the second couple, Winnie and Tommy, and there was no music available for their song. Phone calls to the publishers proved futile. So a student teacher from UWM orchestrated the number from the old piano score, and their song remained.
Little things kept popping up. Frank was sent home to shave his sideburns before one after-school rehearsal because someone in the administration felt the length exceeded school code. The role of Annie was doubled, but not Frank, who suffered from throat problems and had difficulty singing. Guns firing blanks sometimes didn't go off, so the students were instructed to yell, "Misfire," and try again. 2 14-foot teepees prepared by the art department were removed from the stage and never found. so the black light on the Indian number was scrapped. A transport strike meant that drops ordered from New York could not be delivered. So pieces left over from the 1961 Annie Get Your Gun were resurrected. The script refers to That Man in White, but the costumer sent Frank a tan Forest Ranger uniform trimmed with sequins. By 2 a.m., after rehearsal and a quick shopping trip, Connie had finished sewing a white suit with black sequins and fringe.
I can knit a sweater. I can sew it better. I can do most anything.
Can you make a pie?
No.
Neither can I.
Anything you can say, I can say sweeter.
I can say anything sweeter than you.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
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 No, you can't.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
And lastly, 2 Indian ceremonial dancers decided to stay home from school and rest up for performance. When they arrived that evening, they were barred from performing, and the Eagle dancer, in itchy, full-body makeup, danced all 3 solos on the drum. His experience lasted, in his words, all the way through the long shower at the end of the show. He later commented,
I enjoyed being part of the show. Truly a case of the whole being greater than the sum of its parts.
Double cast in Hello, Dolly, featuring identical twins as Dolly. But as one dancer later reminisced,
We dancers and chorus people got to perform every show. I think we got the best of the deal.
Players closer to the audience, a red carpeted runway was constructed over the orchestra pit. This was especially effective during the Waiters' Gallop, which featured some pretty daring leaps on the narrow platform. This number was a showstopper, as waiters leaped and turned, balancing trays of food on a gloved hand. The secret to this feat was a white elastic holding the trays, but not visible over the white gloves.
Many props were needed for this show. Perhaps the strangest was a carcass of a chicken picked to the bones by Dolly during the restaurant scene. To have the prop look authentic, a large chicken was boiled, the bones removed, dried, and glued together on a plate, which Dolly secreted in her huge purse. As the action was directed elsewhere, she merely changed plates.
Another costume rental crisis. Mrs. Malloy, about a size 4, was sent a size 12 costume. As we rehearsed during the last week, Bert Steenke shopped for brocade and created a dress for Mrs. Malloy.
Wow, 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 fellas. Hey, yo! Look at the old girl now, fellas.
Boy meets girl. Boy loses girl. Boy gets girl.
For your eyes to meet, and then your heart knows in a moment you will never be alone again. I held her for an instant, but my arms felt sure and strong. It only takes a moment to be loved. A whole life long.
A few words back there, Mr. Hackle. Right after it only.
He had me for an instant, but his arms felt safe and strong. It only takes a moment to be loved, a whole life long.
And that is all that love's about.
And we'll recall when time runs out.
That it only took a moment to be loved.
A whole life long.
Brigadoon was the second repeat show at SM and suited the voices of the students very well. This time, we performed on stage in a more conventional way.
Since 2 weekends were impossible to schedule, a Sunday matinee performance was held. This matinee proved to be a bit unwise for 2 reasons. The audience, composed of more children and parents, was a complete change from the usual Saturday night crowd, and the grind of 4 performances in a row was showing on cast members. The matinee was used for only one other show. Fiona recalls that she was on stage with the girls' chorus.
I looked up to the left, and there between the first and second downstage curtains were 2 male cast members, mooning me. It was a memorable moment, to be sure.
A crisis was averted by the quick work and physical strength of a member of the stage crew. The end cleat of the track holding the forest drop used for crossovers came loose, and the drop began to spill off the south end of the track. A student in the light booth grabbed the line and used his body as a counterweight to stop the spill. The main curtain was hurriedly closed. Don, who was conducting, could be heard hissing, "Open the curtain! Open the curtain!" When it opened, performers found a beige curtain, no forest drop, 2 feet less of playing space, and a thoroughly confused conductor. The problem was repaired during intermission. This made us recall the time when a crew member asked Connie, in a calm voice, where Al Tung, the lighting director, was. After repeated inquiries, and it was finally established that Al could not be found, the student then revealed the problem. The light board was on fire. It was extinguished, but the smell lingered. The show must go on.
The Music Man, very obviously, showed the importance of the supporting cast. That the crowd was really a character was never more evident than the opening of Iowa Southern. The singing began in the audience, and as the curtain opened, River City inhabitants made their way to the stage, inviting all to come to the picnic. An inviting smile, a lively sparkle, an attractive gesture all ensure that the audience will become infected with the enthusiasm on stage. Every year's cast heard the reminder. Be on stage every minute. Someone may be looking directly at you.
How can there be?
Hair had always been an important detail. Style, length, and color must be suited to the character and the historical period of the